I'm Michael Slezak. TV Line is super excited to welcome The Voice Season 4 winner Danielle Bradbery to the house today. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
People love to have conspiracy theories on the internet, and on several sites I read Danielle opened for Scotty McCreery. She's not as much of an amateur as you think she is. And Now you did this after you did your blind audition, correct?
I kind of got the feel of being in front of people and 4 famous people. So I mean, it was kind of getting on that side where, okay, I just need to keep going and getting used to this stuff. Yeah. And my stepdad, he puts up these festivals that, I mean, he tries to squeeze me in between the acts, and I necessarily didn't open up for Scotty.
Okay.
There was somebody before him, after me, but I sang maybe 1 or 2 songs.
Okay.
And people were walking around. Some people were standing there, mainly my family.
Right. People finding their spot on the lawn or grabbing a soda.
They were just walking around. I'm like, just keep doing what you're doing. It's okay. Don't pay attention to me. That makes me feel better. But it wasn't necessarily, I stood in one spot, didn't really move around, so it was nothing too exciting. So I didn't really have experience.
So you get to the blind auditions and you do Mean by Taylor Swift. Tell me about why you picked that song. Did you ever have some of those experiences where you wanted to be like, someday I will be playing these big concerts and you're being mean and I'm gonna sing it to you? Did you ever have that experience?
Of course, school has those people who they pick on, and I was one of them. Right. And I've always talked to my teachers and just playing around. I'm gonna go try out for this, and they're like, oh no, you won't, you're too scared, or something like that. I'm like, well, I mean, that kind of gave me that little bit courage. Well, maybe I should do something so I can prove to them I can.
You can take me down with just one single blow.
I just kept saying stuff, but not really doing it.
Right.
And I mean, my mom kind of, okay, now we actually have to do something. Mean was a perfect example as those people that just said whatever they wanted and not really thought about how I felt.
You get to the battle rounds and you do Corinne Bailey Rae, which is pretty far outside of the country.
Yeah.
It's not even in the same zip code as country, and you're up against Caroline Glaser.
It was different. It was more in Caroline's musical part, and she had this unique voice, so our voices were totally different. So I was like, I wonder why I'm compared to her. But I mean, it kind of got obvious because me and her we didn't have that much experience. She was singing in coffee shops and I was singing in my room. So I mean, that kind of gave us the time to bond with each other, and we have something in common. And we became really close. So, I mean, our battle was probably the sweetest one.
Right. Tell me about a song like Maybe It Was Memphis. I always wonder, you're younger, so you're obviously probably not, traveling back to your mom's and sitting on the porch and getting caught up in this romance with this mystical Tennessee Williams type character.
Maybe it was you, maybe it was me, but it sure felt right.
Do you sort of read those lyrics and study them and figure out how to tell the story, or is it a little bit more sort of organic, like you let the music and the melody sort of sweep you up?
A little bit of both, and Blake talks to me about that, and he knows I can't really relate to some of the songs because I'm 16 and they're all about, oh, he moved away and all this stuff, and but he just tells me, just try to picture it in somebody else's shoes, because there's a lot of people out there that probably have that same situation, and I can just try to tell the story, but not necessarily connect with it as if that happened to me before.
Like Carrie Underwood didn't have to shoot her husband with the help of her mistress, and bury him to be able to tell that story. Tell me about Grandpa, Tell Me About the Good Old Days. It's a long title, I just realized as I was saying it. What did that song mean to you? I thought that was one of your best performances of the season.
Stand beside each other, come on, May.
It was another song that I wasn't too familiar with, and I never really got to meet my grandfather, so that was something I could really connect with. And I felt like I could maybe talk to them in ways through that song. And my grandma and my mom and my dad, they told me stories about them, so that kind of helped me.
I think one of your other big performances was Heads Carolina, Tails California. Could you relate to that on a level of, at least chorus-wise, you picked up everything and left high school and went out to chase this dream on a reality singing competition, and it could have been over in a week.
That song was a really fun song to perform. I definitely tried to picture myself just in a car with the windows down type of song, and that song was mainly about just having fun with it. And the lyrics were just, yeah, I took off, and I mean, where do I want to go now to start with my career? So that was another song that I could kind of see myself in that situation.
Gonna get out of here if we gotta ride a Greyhound bus.
If there's one performance you could have a do-over on, which would it be?
The one performance that I really had fun with, and I could probably have done better, but it was really fun. It's Wasted by Carrie Underwood.
Okay.
Yeah, that song was intense.
Right. And that was pretty early in the season.
Yeah, I feel like I could have done a little bit better, but that's probably a performance I would go back and redo and probably put a lot more into.
You covered a couple Carrie Underwood songs during the season. Was that at all strategic, like knowing where Carrie Underwood came from, that she started on Idol? She really had no experience going into that, and it launched her to being one of the biggest names in music right now. Was that ever in the back of yours and Blake's minds?
Yeah, it was definitely an idea of mine. I look up to Carrie Underwood. She's amazing, and I listen to all her music, and the songs I performed on the show are one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to be like that one day. So, I mean, I kind of take off to that, yeah.
Did you ever want to take more risks, or did you feel like this is the kind of artist I want to be, so these are the kinds of songs I want to cover?
I kind of went off on that end of, well, should I do this type of genre, or will that hurt me? I've had that kind of off thought about it, but I mean, country was my standard genre I was based on, and I was kind of set on that, but then at some point I was like, should I ask Blake about doing a pop song?
Did you guys ever have that conversation, or?
We actually did, and he told me, he explained to me, I don't want anything to hurt you in any way because you're so far in the competition, and I don't want you to get voted off in any way because of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I understood about the old songs and bringing them back, and they were the popular songs back then, and me as 16 bringing them back was really, really cool to people. So I was like, okay, maybe it's a good idea to stick to those, and it was.
Tell me about Who I Am. That was one of the weeks where you got to pick your own song.
They definitely had a title for that too. They're like, okay, I want you to pick a song, but make it a dedication song. So I kind of had a choice there, so I was like, I mean, a dedication song, I had to make it where I touch a lot of people's hearts, and this performance was one of them that I did. And I got to share it with my family in the performance, so that really reached out to a lot of people.
That's who I am.
Was that, like during rehearsals, you thought maybe I should go up there? Did Blake say maybe you should end up there? How did that happen?
Yeah, in rehearsals, there's a lot of people that help me out with where to go on stage, and that was definitely a big thing that they wanted me to do, and I'm like, okay, well, nobody's ever gone in the audience in the performances before yet, so I'll be the first one to take that. It was really, really, really cool.
I also was curious about your duet with Amber on Eternal Flame, because I loved that.
Close your eyes, give me your hand.
We always thought it would be so cool to perform together, and we finally did, and Eternal Flame was a song that we were both not really familiar with, and we heard it was really popular back then, and so we were like, okay, well, we can young it up a little bit,
right,
and make it really cool, and we did, and those notes at the end were just awesome, and we both got to hit those moments. So, I mean, I think that was really fun. I loved performing with her.
Born to Fly. Tell me about choosing that particular song for the finale. I feel like that might have been the song that got you the win.
Born to Fly was definitely a song that kind of, I felt like, brought all my experience and all the vocal ranges I can do in one song, because it definitely showed my low range and my high range. I can get up there, and just, it was really rangy.
It's very rangy.
The words were perfect for that type of, that timing too.
You also sang Timber, I'm Falling in Love in the finale. Was it weird to sing with Blake, sort of a love song duet? 'Cause there was, like, when you started, I thought you looked a little bit like,
Timber, I'm falling in love.
Oh, I mean, we're looking at each other, and it's a love song, and I try to get in the back of my mind, well, I'll just make it as like, oh, okay, hey, Dad, or something like that, like a father perspective, and yeah, it was kind of awkward at moments.
You look so sweet, your love sweeping me off of my feet.
But I try to make it as not as awkward as possible.
I woke up with you in my arms.
that's a good answer.
Yeah.
And the finale, you got to duet with Hunter Hayes.
Yes.
And that you guys really, I thought, sounded great together. At what point did you find out you were going to be duetting with him?
It was after results day that I knew I was making it to go to finale, and we had to name a couple of celebrities we would want to do a duet with, and I put that song in Hunter Hayes down, and just not knowing what was gonna happen, and they videoed me and they showed it in the finale, and Blake said, okay, you're doing a duet with Hunter Hayes, and I screamed. I was really excited, and I've always watched him on the CMA Awards, and just seeing him everywhere, and I heard him on the radio. I loved all of his songs, and I finally got to do a duet with him, and it was so much fun, and I felt so comfortable up there, and it was a fun song, and I want to do that again.
Let's be crazy.
So you're 16 years old, you just won The Voice, and I have to ask you, have you ever sat down with your parents and talked to them and said, like, do we have a plan for how I can tackle this being on a major label and possibly watching my career blow up and be huge without, like, losing the essence of who I am? We've seen kids your age, you know, Amanda Bynes or Lindsay Lohan have these careers and then become a hot mess. And
Yeah.
you seem like a nice, normal kid from a nice, normal life.
I definitely do not want to go off on the wrong path, but Blake, my step-parents and my parents, we all got to sit down off camera, just normal, just having stuff to eat, and we actually got to talk about all that stuff, and with Blake too, so that really helped a lot because he knows a lot about that. My parents don't really know that much yet, but he definitely talked to us about the right people to go to, the right team to get together, so I'm in the right place, and
Right.
and that really made a big impact. He asked me, well, do you want me to be a part of your stuff? I'm like, well, most definitely, that would be awesome. And him and Miranda told me, if you ever need anything, we're just a phone call away, and that makes me feel good because if I need any questions about this person or this, or I can just go to them because they know a lot of people, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're always willing to help, and we got to sit down and talk about all of that stuff. So we're starting to get that plan going.
I'm Haley Steinfeld, and you're watching ENTV.
Hi, my name is Kieran Shipka, and you're watching ENTV.
Aubrey Plaza, ENTV. I just touched it with my mouth, sorry.